on, and she said, "Oh shit, I have to stop cussing." So Denise is here from the Tampa Bay Times, and she is going to tell us a lot about, obviously, as you can tell, the state of video, but also about being a journalist in this field and working with photos and video. And she is now in management too, so you have a whole new range of things to tell us about. New perspective, right?
Yeah.
As she said, her Slack channel is 24 hours.
Yeah.
So Denise, thank you very much.
Thank you. Hello, guys. How are you? I have a stress fracture in my ankle, so I might be like wobbling a little bit. I was not drinking for lunch. Put that up there right in the beginning. So my name's Denise. I work at the Tampa Bay Times. I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the state of video, in particular mobile video, and kind of what we do there and how we do it, right? We all have these devices, these smartphones, and how we use them. But I'm gonna back up a little bit. I was a student. That's me, the very shy-looking one hiding behind the pillar. And I went to a multimedia workshop for diversity students in Poynter, and I met King Irby, and he changed my life and my views on photojournalism and video and all these things. And you know what? I got a job in the industry, right? Thank God I had health insurance. I could get sick. It was fantastic. And that's all my dad wanted. He was like, baby, I don't care what you do, get health insurance. I don't care what it is. And I was like, Daddy, I have health insurance. I can officially get sick. And so I started out in upstate New York, but I ended up in Indianapolis. And it was here that I learned about the power of the internet. And so back in 2009, we were getting galleries. Has anybody been to Indianapolis? You know, it's a big racing town. There's like a race every weekend in the summer. And so and Indianapolis is also a big sports town, right? Football, basketball. But our photo galleries would bring down the website. It was great. You know, we'd get all this traffic. That's how I started learning about video and all this. And I started doing hybrid management. Does anybody want to be in management in this room? Yeah, no hands, right. I did not. I'm telling you, this was not on purpose. This was one of those things that just happened. I started to become a hybrid manager, which means I would handle some things. I would be like project manager on other things, and then I'd go back and I'd tell a story, which worked out great for me. So my boss was on vacation, and I would fill in. And I could go back to the street. It was perfect. And then I got pushed into management. So this is my new newspaper family, and this is at the Tampa Bay Times. This is us covering, I believe it was the national championship college football. And I like to use the word team a lot. If you get into management or teaching or anything that you have to lead other people, team is a great word to have. And so this is us. This is our team for that day. And in terms of management, I'm at the bottom, and that's Verso over there. And we were taking in photos, video, tweets. We were doing a whole lot of motion. And so the thing about Tampa Bay Times, it's a great newspaper for investigative journalism and long-form storytelling, but it is the traditional model that is going into a digital-first model. And that comes with pain, okay? It comes with a lot of pain and a lot of planning and progress. So this is kind of my typical, this is how I feel some days in my neighborhood. That's me in the yellow jumper. And I'm like, I just got on a meeting. That's my boss. Okay? It's just how I feel. This may not be accurate, but this is how I feel. And so this is after the morning meeting, and so what do you do when everything is coming at you, right? You've got all these departments coming. You've got a lot going on. Make it stop. Make it stop, okay? Slow it down. So when you guys get into these fields, whether it's a traditional news model or something you create, you have to take time to slow it down, regenerate, renew yourself, figure it out, okay? One of the biggest things for me was assessment. When I first got to the Tampa Bay Times, I was like, what is going on here in terms of video? What's going on? So I had to get out of the daily grind, the daily fight, and do an assessment. What works for us? What is working for us as journalists, and what is working for us as a newspaper and a media company, okay? I forgot to say at the beginning of this conversation, this is a conversation, so if you have questions, just yell them out, okay? So assessment, so that meant, going back to the basics. What makes a good video? Is it visual? Is it compelling? Does it have an emotional aspect? Is it evidence video? What's the point? Is my mom gonna watch this? You've gotta ask yourself these questions. You can't keep doing video for video's sake. That's an important thing we had to discover. What you say no to is just as important as what you say yes to, okay? Because a lot of times you're just doing video that gets no traction, and that's a waste of time. So when I got there in 2016, these were some of the things that I was finding out, and I'm thinking, this is a lot to digest. What can I work with right now that I don't have to get new software and retrain for? You start to pick up some things. The biggest one was many of our videos were taking way too long to put on the internet, on the web, on Facebook, whatever we were going to put it on. We were taking too long, and by the time it got there, it was not relevant. Okay, so as a leader, and some of you guys will fall into leadership, and maybe not on purpose, but you will end up there. But you've got to decide what kind of videos you're doing. Okay, make some categories, establish a common language, right, and figure out. When you say what's taking too long to get on the website, well, right now it's live video and raw video. Those don't take any production time, right? Because you're just pulling out your cell phone, you're getting the car accident or the triple homicide or the hurricane or the alligator that ate something. You're just getting those images and you need to get it back to the office. So those don't take any production time. So let's focus on these. So while you are leading your staff or leading your crew or whoever you're leading, or even when you're talking about assessing what you've done as a journalist, focus on something. You can't do it all at the same time, okay? So make a strategy. What is the strategy going to be? What are you gonna do? And for us, the Tampa Bay Times, no more still photos at press conferences. We're going to make those video assignments in Facebook Lives. If it is important enough to get still photographs, we'll send a second person, or you can shoot something with your iPhone. But these are going to be video assignments from now on. Now, I can't say that was a popular decision in the beginning, okay? Because we're talking about a traditional news model that has a steep learning curve. But some of these decisions have to be made. And so once that decision was made, we fulfilled it. And now it is a popular decision because it takes a lot of the time that they were using to get video back to the office. So make a decision, okay? But make sure you assess it and figure out a strategy to deliver it. Any questions so far? Okay, I'm gonna keep going. Okay, so the other part about mobile video at a traditional newspaper setting is talking to people. Collaboration is huge. So we invited Chris Tisch, who was our Facebook guy. He is our Facebook guy, and he gave a presentation, to the staff about the Facebook numbers on our site, on our Facebook page, right? So actually giving the why. Why are we doing this? So if you go into leadership, don't just ask for things. Explain it. Explain why you are making those decisions. Establish a common language. I think I said that earlier. So I started asking for Facebook cuts. And the staff was like, what is she even talking about? Explain it. You know, Facebook, most people are reading videos because they're at work or they're at this conference or they're somewhere else where they can't turn on the sound. So now we need to get the video captioned, right? So rev.com is a great place for that. It's $1 a minute, but they're extremely fast. I like using Trent as well, but Trent doesn't handle Southern accents very well. It does very well with like a Midwestern accent, but Trent has a hard time understanding some Floridians, right? So it's all AI, and sometimes the language comes back jacked up. But Rev.com, I like that a lot. So we started doing Facebook cuts, and for our larger products, we would do you know, a 30, 40-second trailer that plays well on mobile. You know, so mobile video has also changed the way we document, right? So you have to, I believe the gentleman that was up maybe about 3 sessions ago talked about how he stripped the graphics so that it would look better on mobile. I find myself, when I'm shooting for mobile, I find myself doing more close-ups, right? Because people are looking at a smaller screen. So it changes things. Be intentional. We talk about this all the time at work. Where is it going? Okay, where's this video going to play? Is it going to play on the website? Is it going to play on Instagram? You need to talk about these things before sending people out or before you go out on assignments. Are there any photographers in here? Raise your hands high, people. Be proud. Okay, there's a few of you guys in here. Okay, so if you take out, let's say you're an independent contract photographer, and the New York Times says, hey, we need you to go shoot some video. Ask where it's going to display, because that's going to change how you shoot the video. So for example, I'll give you an example here. When we did the hurricane, well, actually, this is a museum. We asked the photographer, hey, can you go and shoot a little bit of vertical video for Instagram stories? She said, sure, no problem. So they mixed in some photos, her photos, and also video that she shot on her iPhone for the IG stories. That was great. You know, and so we didn't want a produced piece, which would have taken her off the street for an additional hour or two. We just wanted something that we could give to Gabrielle, who is our intern right now, sitting on the desk. And by the way, I sit on the online desk. And so that helps with the collaborative space. So I'm not like way back in a corner. I'm right there in the center in the mix, okay? And so it also works for hurricanes. We have a lot of hurricanes down there. And so we asked the photographers, the reporters, whoever's out, give us video, send it back. Northwest of us, so we didn't get much, but we sent reporters up that way. And so he sent back video clips that we could use in the IG story. And think about how you're getting and receiving those videos, right? So hurricanes are a little difficult to send material back and forth. But on a regular basis, if it's a short video, can you text it? Can you put it in a Dropbox? Like, how can you get that video back so that we can use it? So when I was on the street in Indianapolis, I would I remember getting to a fire and jumping out of the car. My Jeep was still running. Jumping out of the car. I had flames. You never get flames because the firemen are too fast, but there were flames. Jump out the car. I had 2 cameras on. I probably had, I don't know, $20,000 worth of gear. And I got my phone and I was like, boom. Right? So I took a lot of cell phone video, iPhone video, because I wanted the website off my back. I wanted more time to work in the street. And so I was able to take that mobile video and photography, send it back to the office, and that brought me some time. And so I really started to buy into the power of mobile because I had more time not to go back into the office. I could talk to people. I could put a video together. I could do more things if I just fed the beast, right? I want to feed the beast to get myself more time. Okay, so I don't remember the gentleman who said it earlier about IGTV. We're experimenting with that too. You know, even some of our larger pieces, we put on IGTV and just see what happens. We did a panel discussion. We were like, oh, let's just throw it on there. So we can edit vertically now too. And so I'll give Gabrielle, hey, Gabrielle, I've got some vertical video for you. Can you use this for something? She's like, yeah, let me see what we can do. And so that collaboration, that talking, not working in a silo, is beneficial for us. So, sometimes things work, sometimes they don't, but we try it just to see what happens. We're just throwing noodles on a wall some days, just to see. That's Gabrielle. Pivot is one of my favorite words. I love that word because you have to be flexible. So you could be going this way with something and you got to turn back. I used to give presentations and say, don't ever shoot vertical video. Who knew? I didn't know. Who knew? Okay. There is now a space for vertical video. So you have to be willing to pivot and learn. Okay. So that's something that I've learned moving forward. Keeping up with the trends. If you're sitting on a desk, if you're in management or you get into a space where you are no longer on the street or producing, you still need to know what's going on for a couple of reasons. You need to be able to manage your staff's time. So if I ask them to do something, I know how to do it, or I ask them to show me how to do it, with the exception of drones. That's on my list. Okay, so you need to learn how to manage their time, and so you need to know what that's involved with. Does this go on and on? What's happening? Did you guys hear me? Okay, all right. So keeping up with the trends, keeping up with what's going on and what's happening is important in my role, so I know how to help, I know how to instruct, and I know how to manage the time. Sound is king. All right, these iPhones are fantastic. iPhone, smartphone, whatever you got. A lot of photographers will say the best camera is the one you have on you, right? And so a lot of times the best camera is the one that's in your pocket. So if something's happening in front of you, use what you have. People will forgive bad visuals, but they will not forgive bad audio. And that has been proven time and time again. If you're in your kitchen, you're about to make soup and you're cutting carrots, you got the TV on and you're just, you're in your carrot zone, and the TV, the sound goes out. You automatically go like, what happened, right? The noise keeps you going. But if the sound cuts out, it's a distraction. So keep that in mind. This is one of my favorite tools. It's $149. It's expensive if you have a large staff. If it's just yourself, splurge on yourself. Go ahead and pick one of these up. I love it because it can plug directly into your iPhone, and you can monitor the sound. And so I like to use it with the wireless kit. If I'm going somewhere and I don't have time to set things up and I'm not going to use my DSLR, I will plug that puppy right into a wireless kit. Now that XLR ability, which is that right here, you can also plug that into a malt box. So you can get an XLR cable and plug that into a malt box. And now you've got the feed if you're at a press conference or if you're somewhere where a malt box or a soundboard is available. So you can get professional quality sound on your iPhone with that little 149 tool. I also like this Shure mic. It's the MV88. It's this mic right here. It's tiny. You fit in my pocket. Right? It also comes with a cool little afro that I like. All right? So now you got a windscreen, and it's awesome. I love this little microphone. But I carry it in my backpack. If you're out somewhere, something happens in front of you, it's a nice little shotgun mic. And it comes with an app. The app is free. This is $149. It's a little bit of an investment, but because it's so small, I enjoy it. And it has really good sound. App is free, and it's a pretty cool little app. So now it has the video. You guys get the point. If you're looking for a lav mic, $62 will give you a good quality lav mic that you can plug into your phone. I have a couple of these around the office as well. If you don't have a mic, something is going down, you don't have a mic, use your headphones. I'm usually always wearing a pair of headphones just for this reason. Use your headphones. Know where the mic is on your phone. If you get close enough to someone, can I borrow you, sir? Come on up. What's your name again? David. Can you guys give David a hand, please? On your iPhone, the mics are on the bottom, right? There used to be a time when the mics were on the top. So be careful. If you're interviewing David, don't cover the mic, right? Hold the mic closer to his mouth instead of, you're way back here if you're shooting horizontally. But just remember that when you're shooting vertically too, not to cup it. And so if you're in a cold environment, keep in mind also that these are temperature sensitive because they're glass. If it's too cold or too hot, they will shut off. But just know the anatomy of your microphone and how to use it. Thank you, David. You're lovely. Can you give a hand for David, please? So know where your mics are. Find a quiet space. If you're in a room like this, obviously you don't want to do anything in here, but maybe you're in the hallway or you're in your car. You want a space where you can talk to your person. I show this video when I go to trainings because I met this gentleman. He's a writer at the Tennessean. I don't know if he's still there, but I did a training once where we told the writers to go out, find a story, and produce your video and do it on your phone. Do everything on your phone and bring it back. And we're like, do it in a day. And everybody was like, what? We're like, you got it. It's fine. We showed them the elements, and I'm going to show you what he brought back.
I'm Lisa Brown, and this is my daughter Pearl. She's 6.5 months old. And when I was pregnant with her, we had found out that her brain wasn't forming properly. They told us that we should not expect to have much time with her. Her life might only be lived in my valley. It might just be a few minutes or hours or days after she was born. She's 6.5 months old now.
For soft hair.
What do you like to do for soft hair?
Love it.
Do you love to rub for soft hair? What about you, Abby? What's your favorite thing about Pearlie?
Sweet toes.
Her sweet toes? What do you like to do with her sweet toes?
So fun.
Mm-hmm. Those who long for what we have, for the love that we feel, for the way that we feel like we've been carried by God, our community, our church, and our friends. And so more and more, it just reminds me, I have nothing to complain about. I have so much to be grateful for.
Okay, so when he came back with that, we were like, our mouths were open, like, we expected like a coffee shop, the donut shop. When he came back with this, we were like, wow, dude, it's amazing, right? It has some sound issues, but it's 3 or 4 clips put together on his iPhone that will add a different emotion to the story that he has already written, right? And so is it worth it? Yes. And so that's just one afternoon teaching a few techniques to some strangers. We just met them, and he really took it and ran with it. So you can do a lot with these iPhones in terms of storytelling. Now, Louis Santana is one of the drone guys at the Tampa Bay Times, and he called and was like, Denise, the bay is missing. I was like, pardon? The whole bay? He's like, the bay's gone. So during Irma, which I didn't know because I'm a Yankee, big hurricanes, they suck the water out. And they bring it back later, but I had no idea. So when he called and said the bay was missing, I'm like, okay, I don't understand. And so he was like, I'm sending you video. Okay, send it. And so this is what he said.
And everyone, this is Will Santana from the Tampa Bay Times. I'm on Bayshore Boulevard, where there's an extreme low tide. There's actually hundreds of people coming down Bayshore Boulevard to walk on Tampa Bay. It's pretty incredible, actually. Look how low the tide is, the water. Look at this.
So do you think I cared that it was vertical? I was like, thank you. We put it, that little clip on Facebook had 5 million views. And, you know, the babe was missing. And I couldn't understand what he was saying until he sent me the video clip. And so that did really well for us. But that was also like an evidence video. You know, that was something that you could see and know. Steady visuals, which is what that was not, but we're going to talk about that. Steady visuals, okay? Use a tripod, use a gimbal, use whatever's in the room. So if you're in this room, what could you use for a tripod? Okay, somebody yell out an answer. Yes. The little breakfast nook things, right? You can use that as a tripod. What else can you use as a tripod in this room? A person, yes. What else? There's got to be at least one more thing in here.
Mic stand.
Mic stand. Use what's in your environment to get that steady shot, okay? Use your body. If you're doing a video and you got some little chubby handles down here, just put your arm and brace yourself. But you got to remember, you have a heartbeat. So if you're running and you get to a scene and you brace yourself, your heartbeat is going to make that camera move. And I was like, why is that moving? Are you breathing? So just remember you have a heartbeat, okay? So if you're putting your handles, your elbows in the chubbies, brace yourself and take a deep breath, okay? So that's one thing you can use. They also sell these smartphone gimbals that are about $140. You can use a variety of them. And they also have these little tripod mounts, which everybody on our staff has one. And you can hook them to regular tripods. They're great. And then some of them have the little kickstands. They're $10. Or you can use whatever you got in the room. Mobile video apps. I really enjoy iMovie. That's the one I use the most because it has 2 tracks. But there's a ton of them. I'm going to give you a resource list at the end of this that you can go through and check out the different apps. But I like it because it's a nice, clean design. I use Adobe Premiere to edit primarily, and it reminds me most of Adobe Premiere. And so you can do this in your phone, and on your phone, in your car, wherever you are, and get it back to the office. And so that's why I enjoy this app quite a bit. Adobe Spark, if you need to put text on a video, that's a great little app for that, especially if you have the Adobe suite. You know, you just go in there and play on it. Movie Pro is also a nice professional mobile app, and Video Shop is the one that I know about for Android. If you guys have any other Android video apps, tweet me, tell me, let me know, because I have a hard time finding the ones people like. Okay? Video should not be an afterthought. It is content, okay? It is content. So please set yourself up for success that way. And on that note of setting yourself up for success, at the Tampa Bay Times, we have a dummy page I gave them a name, Education, but it's just a blank Facebook page. And what we use it for is to practice Facebook Lives. So some photographers don't do them very often, and I don't want to set them up for failure. And so they said, Denise, I have a Facebook page, I have a Facebook Live tomorrow. I said, no problem. Go on Education and practice, and I'll take a look later today and see how you did. Okay, right? The stakes are low. It's 10 or 12 of us on here, as opposed to 300,000 people, right? If you make a mistake in front of 300,000 people, there's a bit of trauma that goes with that. And so the next time they do it, they're not as excited. And so you need a way to train people for success. Ooh, that was loud. Success. You need a way to train people, and you need a way to have them feel good about it. When you're training people and they have failures, it's okay. I call it failing forward. It's okay to fail forward. Don't go back. Keep going, but you've got to have a place for them to fall. They can fall on the stage all day long, and it's fine. Practice. If you stop doing video editing, if you stop doing videos, you lose that skill. It takes a certain amount of practice. Communicate. I used to get dinged as a young photographer for not over communicating, right? I hated coming in the office. I loved being in the streets with the people. And my boss would say, Denise, where are you? I'm like, you'll never believe what I got. Da, 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 da. He's like, come in and let's talk. So over communicate to what you're doing. If you guys are independent contractors, if you're, or freelancers, as they say, communicate to who you are taking that assignment with. If you have additional skills like, hey, I know that video is great, but did you know I can also podcast? And you're like, oh, shoot, yeah, let's talk about that. Communicate your skills as well. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the story, right? It's not so much about the bells and the whistles and this and that. You are communicating something with your visual medium. It's about the story. And at the end of the day, it's always been about that. But we got lost in the chaos and the attack, right? Me standing in my yellow jumper with my sword. Sometimes you don't think about the story because you're just trying to fend off the masses, right? But at the end of the day, it's about the story. Where can you learn this stuff on a budget? My God, this stuff is expensive. Okay, so take as many free things as you can, or low things that don't cost as much. So I love lynda.com. Me and Linda are friends. I go on Linda a lot because she gives like a curriculum, and you guys use Linda, don't you? You guys know Linda? Talk to me, people. Do you know Linda? Yes. Okay. I love Linda because of the curriculum that she has. Val Hebner is the reason why I'm in this video mess. She was one of my bosses in Indianapolis, and she gave me a video camera one day and was like, go make me something. I was like, I don't do that. She was like, you do today. And so I learned video, and we are not only colleagues in this industry, but we're friends. And she runs a media company, but she puts on a great set of apps on her website, a great article of app reviews, and she really gets into detail. She also walks you through some apps, so it's a great resource for you to have. And so I love going on her site. I love to hear her talk because she really gets in the weeds about some of the apps. Asking what and how on Facebook. I sent a note out on my Facebook like, hey, I'm going to this mobile media conference. What apps are you guys using? Oh my God. People were like, blah, 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 blah. So asking on Facebook, asking your fellow journalism colleagues, and let me just throw a flag on that really quick and say that as you are students and going into this new industry and it's reshaping all the time, your network is very important. Your network is essential. A lot of the jobs that I had were learned about in places like this, where somebody says, oh, you know what, you should talk to so-and-so. And I call so-and-so and they say, oh, you have those skills? Why don't you call me on Wednesday? And you call on Wednesday and they say, I'm sending you a link to fill out this job application. You're like, oh, how did we get here, right? So networking is very important. YouTube, I love YouTube. I should have gone to YouTube University because I get so much information off of that. And also small groups. So this is Monica Herndon and Dirk Shad. Monica is one of our newest hires. And by new, I say like 3 or 4 years. Dirk has been there for 20 years. And so I got an idea. I was like, okay, Dirk, you're working on this video project. How do you feel about Monica editing you, editing your video on this? And to his credit, he was open to it. He was like, I'm cool. And so we had one of the youngest people on staff editing video for one of the more seasoned staff members. And it was great, and it worked out. They learned a lot from each other. And so pairing people up with different skill sets is amazing. All right, talking really fast because I'm on my last few slides, but I wanted to leave you with this. I went to one of these conferences and I learned about the T professional. I think I heard it from Carnez, who's at Vox now. But what it says, and I got the official definition from Michigan State University, but T-shaped professionals are characterized by their deep disciplinary knowledge in at least one area, okay? But they're adaptive innovators. And for me, I thought, what does that mean exactly? And so I'm not a designer. So if there are designers in this room, I apologize for the next 2 slides. I try to stick it with them. So you have T, right? But in that T, it's photojournalism. I'm taking myself, for example. I am a photojournalist. That's how I was born into this business. I was a photojournalist. But you also have all these things that are being demanded of you on the top. So you're rooted in photojournalism, but you're also able to adapt to all these other things. And that's what they call a T professional. I didn't even know I had a word. I thought it was stress. That's what I thought it was called. But, people say all the time, like, you got to learn everything. I don't think that's true. I think you need to specialize in things. And I think you need to be open to other things and collaborate, right? I am not a designer, clearly, right? But I am a visual learner and a visual teacher. And so be willing to adapt to change, because this is an industry of change. And I am fully aware that I will probably work for one of my interns one day. And that's fine, because you guys will be the next people or the next generation to invent the next form of journalism. So I am here for it. So when I send you guys my resume and say, hey, we met in 2018, I would like some consideration on that. But be willing to be the T professional. Be rooted in something, whether that's design, whether that's photojournalism, whatever it is, be rooted in that. Be true to that, ethically and everything else, but be willing to take on the top layer. And I think if you do that, have that attitude of change and willingness, you will be successful in this industry. Are there any questions? Yes, Angie.
When you guys do your Facebook Lives, you as journalists within the newspaper and some of other news sources, if it's like accidents or fires and stuff, what is your limitations on like how long a Facebook Live should be, how much information, what you should repeat, stuff like that?
So the question is, what are the limitations on our Facebook Lives? How long it should be, what the questions are. A lot of our Facebook Lives now are press conferences. Something happened at this time, people are dead or they're not, this is the story. If the press conference lasts 20 minutes, we will roll 20 minutes. If it's a short press conference, if it's a short press conference, we'll just roll for that amount of time. Now, Facebook Live, in terms of like hurricane coverage and stuff, we'll roll as the action is going, or until it gets dangerous for us to do so. So it varies. It's hard to say. It varies. But the thing about Facebook Lives on your phone, if you have that little connector tool that I showed, you can plug that into a mount box. You might be pushed back, so the visual might not be great, but the sound is good. The sound is crystal clear, and that's what people want to hear.
I think we're going to change mics next one.
Any more questions? Comments, concerns? Are you guys scared? There are a lot of jobs out there, I'm telling you. And if you don't find a job that suits you, make it.
Yeah, Denise, actually, that comment, where you just said, "Are you guys scared?" Are people in the Tampa Bay Times office scared?
I think the reality of newspapers, we're a traditional model. The challenge of newspapers is getting into the trends in time. So I don't know if we're scared or excited or anxious, and we might be all of those things because things change so much. I'm like, why would I want to use Snapchat when it disappears? I am a photographer. Why would I want to do that, right? But people are doing it, and I need to get on the boat. Okay, do not let the boat leave you. So you need to learn about it. So whenever interns come in, I'm like, what are you using? That's how I learned about Venmo. I didn't even know. I went to give her a $5. She was like, can you just Venmo me? Ma'am, I don't know what that is. It's $5. So I have to teach me stuff because it's changing so much. So I think we're all of those things. I think we're scared. I think we're anxious. I think we're excited because it is about the story and how you distribute it. The distribution channels are what it makes the difference. So I'll give somebody a for example. There are a lot of newspapers who do long form documentary. Well, there's not a big distribution channel for that unless you're on like Netflix, unless you nurture that relationship. And so can there be like a newspaper channel on Netflix or some of these other things? Absolutely. Or can it live somewhere else? I have no idea. But it's something that we're doing that I can only see at certain film festivals. So be cognizant of what some of the legacy newspapers are producing. Watch what they're doing. I went to a presentation of National Geographic, and what they're doing with their Instagram stories is amazing. I was like, oh my God. You know, and come back to your team or take notes and share that information with your team.
Oh, so earlier we heard from the Washington Post about their video stuff and
Heard about all your video stuff. At what point does a newspaper stop being a newspaper and get a new name?
Well, I think it's, yeah. Well, I think the name is the same, and I think we depend upon our name, right? Because we built a relationship based on our name. But I think it's what you talked about earlier is viewing yourself as a media company and not a newspaper. And so I think you have to change the attitude coming in or while you're there. Where are the audiences? And I might not necessarily want the audiences that we already have. I want the new audiences. So I don't think we have to change our name because we're founded on that. I think we have to change our attitude. And I think that's the hardest part.
Oh, sure. Should I put something other than text in my portfolio?
Other than
Text.
Yes. So I'll tell you, when I look for interns, they send me, first of all, make sure you spell whoever's looking at your stuff, make sure you spell their name right. My name is spelled all kinds of different. It was the 70s, it was a different time. But when you send your stuff in, I look at what they send me. I look at their blogs, I look at their Instagram, I look at their Twitter, and a lot of times their blogs are more interesting than what they think I want to see. And I'm like, well, hell, I wish he had shown me this blog. And I've even called a couple interns like, hey, I really love what you did with this Jeep story. This is great. Can you like fasten that into something? If you show something that is you're passionate about, most times editors will pick up on that, right? So I check everything. And I also check references. That's the other thing. Before they even get into the go pile, I will call who you worked for last. And the thing that we most want to hear is like work ethic. You don't have to be perfect and polished, but I want somebody who's going to be working hard on my team. And I kind of look for people who are not perfect because we want to take the people who are really good and make them great. Questions, comments, concerns?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you even mentioned about people, the clicks and all these things, is out there.
Yes. Yes.
Do you have solutions on that?
No, we kind of like it, right? So if we have the question was, a lot of our views are after the Facebook Live event. So we'll do a Facebook Live, and sometimes we get a good following, especially if it's like some kind of, if you guys read Florida News, you know it's crazy. So if it's a crazy Florida story, sometimes you get a lot of views. But sometimes it's small views, but it gets a lot of views on the end. And so we'll take any views we can get. We'll take it.
Do you see things moving towards mobile journalism?
Yes. Yes.
I follow Mojo Test and things like that, and everybody's originated.
Yes, I can't stress how much we style our journalism to the mobile distribution. Like, what is this going to look like on mobile? I've been in every big project that we've laid out. Somebody has said, what does it look like mobile? Because if you look around, like even in this room, how many people are on their phone? You know, they get alerts all day long. And so you have to make something that fits that device.
I mean, it originated on the phone.
Oh, yes.
We didn't have this big camera.
Oh, no. And I'll tell you why, because I think the big cameras gives you flexibility that the mobile phone doesn't in terms of documentary video. Now, you can hook up a camera to make really good documentaries. There's some documentaries made from your iPhone that have won Emmys and all that kind of stuff. You can hook it up to that, but I think the DSLR is going to get smaller. I think they're going to weigh less. I don't know how many of you guys use DSLRs, but they can get kind of heavy. So Sony has come out with a product now that a lot of photographers love. So I think the DSLR cameras will get smaller, but I think it's still going to be around. That's just my humble opinion.
Your spot news or you're planning big project there's horizontal video, there's vertical video, there's mobile. Do you plan ahead as much as you can and say, I want you to get certain shots horizontally, I want you to get certain shots vertically, or is it just kind of the story demands it?
It depends on the story, and it depends on the photographer. So we've got, like, when we hire like you guys coming out of college, you're used to this environment. You know, if you've been studying this and all this stuff, they kind of do it automatically. But if you've been at the paper 30 years, you know, we kind of have a discussion. I've had people call me on the way to a crime scene, like, Denise, what do you want me to do? And I'll say, okay, let's talk about it. What is it? Well, it's a homicide. Okay, well, if the body's still there, we don't need it, you know, or give me the PIO or give me something like, you know, we have a discussion prior to them getting there. But sometimes if they've been doing this naturally, like natively, they just do it and then I'll edit it. Or I'll say, give me this, this, and this, if there's a question on it.
Invest time in and
I think I think a lot of it's project by project. Right now, podcasting is hot. So we've invested in that. And we have what we call like a nursery. And so we're nursing a few podcasts just to see what they do. And so it's the assessment part, like what's doing well. Is this worth putting a team together? Is this worth the 5 or 6 people that are going to spend, 5 weeks on it? And then we kind of go to the emotion of the story too. We did a story on a woman who was raped 65 years ago, and she's just now getting therapy because she can get Medicaid. And she gave us an emotional interview, and she was giving of her emotions. Now, we probably would not have asked her to do a video, but she was into it in terms of trying to help other people. And so we did a small documentary video. So I think it just depends on the project and what's the emotional value or what's the viewing value.
Hi, fantastic presentation, by the way. Thank you so much for being here. This question might not make sense, so bear with me. Beginning with a company who began with a very traditional model, their audience is dwindling, but that audience that they have is very loyal and very resistant to change. So if you do decide to shift over to a more progressive digital format, do you have any advice on how to welcome that loyal audience into this or to help them with the transition?
Yes. So I worked at other papers where we did, I don't know what the word is for it, but we invited the community in and showed them how to use our apps, right? And so we did it after Christmas because grandma and grandpa got these iPads and phones. So we had one lady come in with like an armful of stuff. She was like, my grandson gave me all this stuff. So we showed her how to use it. And so that was volunteer work for us. But if it gets that loyal audience to come and use our product, we will gladly show you how to use our apps. So that's one way. It's a kind of a community forum. But I think about my mom and dad and how they use media, and I try to I ask my mom for my mom questions. So I ask, just the same way I do with the interns. I ask an older set of members, how do you get your news and what works for you? And so I think it's the hard conversations, but also being willing to help train that audience into what you have to offer. Because they just may not know it's there or how to use it. Because we did a film festival where we showed our documentary work, and the lady was like, this was fantastic. I didn't even bring that to video. I was like, oh, making sure people know it's there is part of the issue.
Thank you.
All right, guys, thank you.
Denise, thank you very much. Excellent presentation. All right, folks, we have a half-hour break now. There's cookies and coffee in the Centennial Room. We're back here at 3.